Dr. Payne here from Dr. Payne Effects, and welcome to part 4 of our Good, Better, Best Shoegaze Showdown. For part 4, we are running through our best amp. That is our Port City Pearl 50 watt tube amp. It's real similar to your Fender Silver and Blackface twins. Let's go ahead and get started with the pedals. If you haven't seen parts 1 through 3, I highly recommend checking those out. But if you only want to hear what these pedals sound like through the best amp, at least check out part 1, where we go over the different features of the pedals, as we will not be going over those in this one. Parts 1 and 2 go very, very thorough. So let's go ahead and get started. The clean sound from our best amp. Alright, let's start with the Collision Devices Blackhole Symmetry. I'm going to start with the Ergosphere delay. There's something about it that just feels almost a little more organic coming through this amp. I don't know if that makes sense, but let's play around with it just a little bit. We'll do full mix. I think it's just a little warmer is probably what it is. So if you've got a Fender black or silver face, really gonna get this more warm, bright character. Feedback. Yeah, you definitely still get the self oscillations. All right, the reverb. Yeah, it definitely doesn't have that that dark character that it had coming through our better amp. Again, I'd probably attribute this to the brightness of the amp tone. The interesting thing is, though, I'll put it at full mix here. Here, radiancy and echo. It's almost more subtle coming out of this amp. Than either of the other amps. Again, sort of lends that more organic character I was talking about with the delay. And here's our fuzz. I did not EQ this out before the video, so here we go. So definitely has nice character. You can hear the notes a lot more clear through this. It's a lot less muddy. All right, let's do all three of them together. Again, definitely really kind of organic sounding. You know, even though the reverb has modulation, it kind of has the sound of a real natural Hall reverb effect. The delay feels real organic. And even the fuzz just has these real nice kind of peaks and dips. Just really, really beautiful, beautiful sounding pedal through this guy. So let's go over to the Keeley. Again, I'll start with the reverb second, the more traditional order. We'll put it on the soft focus. I'll put it at my, again, preferred settings. I like the effect all the way on. So here we go. Oh, clean sound again. Good. Reverse. Setting is really, really nice. So you can adjust that to sound how you want it through your amp. And then finally the Hall. That kind of shimmering chorus effect is really, really pronounced coming through this amp. It almost sounds like an organ playing high notes. So comparing it to the Blackhole Symmetry, again, the Blackhole Symmetry, you're not getting very specialized things like this sort of soft focus Yamaha reverb. Or reverse reverb isn't even an option, but I will say that these do sound more digital, which that's where they kind of come from, with the exception of the Hall reverb. So with the Collision devices, you're getting more organic sounding stuff, but less the traditional shoegaze sounds. The Keeley, you're getting those, but a little bit less organic. So let's check out that fuzz. And Juniper is back to visit. Hi, you wanna come up? Come up, yes, sit up here. Okay, here we go. So nice sounding regarding fuzz, I actually think it sounds a bit better going through the Supro. Just something about pushing those tubes makes the fuzz sound even better. Here's the full, which is probably my preferred setting. So having that little bit of mid boost definitely helps. Problem if your amp runs a bit dark, but if you're running something like a Fender, something that's a bit more bright, you may have some more issues. Here's the scoot. Yeah. So again, good versatile fuzz. It kind of has all the things you need on it. You can have the filter to adjust it so that the tone changes a little bit. Yeah, so passable, adequate fuzz. Alright, let's move over to the melee, starting with one of the thousands of settings. Turn it on. Here's the reverb. Switches a little bit. Of these amps where the melee doesn't sound muddy. You get some real clarity, some differentiation in the reverb, and if you notice, interestingly enough, we still get that same volume drop. So not an amp thing, just a pedal thing. So there you have it, folks. This has been our Shoegaze Showdown. Alright, so final thoughts on our Shoegaze Showdown. So first of all, I think all three of these pedals are excellent. I think you really can't go wrong in getting either of these. You can really get some different shoegaze sounds. But I do have some recommendations based on our good, better, best testing. So first of all, with the Collision Devices Blackhole Symmetry. Now, this is the most expensive of these for its regular price, although, of course, you can find them on the used market and get a pretty good deal sometimes. But it kind of shows and it kind of pairs with amps that represent that. I honestly thought that the Blackhole Symmetry really did not work with the Vox Super Beetle. I don't know what it was, but for some reason those two just didn't mesh well. You okay? I definitely think that this thing works best with tube amps. I think that the fuzz honestly sounded kind of weak through the solid state. No offense to Collision Devices, it just, I guess, wasn't built with those amps in mind. But the fuzz sounded absolutely fantastic once you put it through a tube amp. I thought the Supro, honestly, I think the fuzz sounded the best on that. Although I feel like the Event Horizon and the Ergosphere were a little bit dark and kind of muddied the signal up. So I think you've got some give and take there. And I really think that out of all of the pedals, this one sounded fantastic through the Port City Pearl. So really great pedal. I think it sounds better through the tubes than the solid state. Again, I'm only testing it through one solid state amp, so your experience may vary. So on to the Keeley Loomer. Overall, I feel like the Keeley Loomer was the most consistent of the three. I thought that the fuzz sounded pretty good and articulate across all three. I didn't really notice much of a marked improvement as we went through the different amps on the fuzz. And really, I'd probably say the same about the reverb side. I thought it really sounded consistently good through all three. Now, with that being said, I don't necessarily think that it was the best sounding across all the three. I think that with the Port City Pearl, our best amp, it was a little bit anemic compared to the other two. And as I mentioned, it is even though it has all kinds of switches and ways to adjust things, it is pretty specialized with this focus, reverse, and hall. Three circuits that you definitely want if you're going to be doing shoegaze, but it's definitely not some of your more traditional reverb sounds. So overall, I think really good, consistent sounding. Honestly, I thought it sounded the best through the solid state and probably the best through the Supro as well. So for our good and our better, I'd probably give those to the Loomer. Now, I have mixed feelings about the Melee. Obviously, it's a quirky design. I think probably one of the major disadvantages of this pedal is that it does not have independent distortion and reverb. You could sort of play it that way if you have it with the reverb mixed in all the way and then kick it up towards the distortion, but it's obviously a little bit clunky. I wish the writing on it wasn't white and pink, and the location of the labels below instead of above the switches, and particularly the volume knob. It makes it a little bit tricky just to see. The volume knob actually casts a shadow over some of these things just because it does protrude out so much. I do like the three different modes. I will say, again, a bit clunky that you have to press both pedals simultaneously to switch through them, whereas with, say, the Keeley, which has some very similar modes, you can just flick a switch, makes it a little bit easier. But this has a switch for switching the effect order, whereas you have a kind of awkward push button toggle on the Keeley. So there's give and take. Honestly, I thought the Melee was the worst sounding through the good and better amps, but it sounds fantastic through the best amp. So overall, if you've got kind of a Fender style, really nice, clean, warm, bright amp, I think that this is a really, really good choice. If your amp tends to run a little bit darker, I think that this just kind of gets muddied up. I think all of its reverbs they're very ambient, but they do tend to be a little bit more dark, kind of like an afterneath type sound. So that's kind of my opinion. So the next question you might be asking yourself is, well, which of these pedals are you using, Dr. Payne? So I'll tell you. The Melee is one of the pedals that has found its way onto my board. I think probably the reason I like it is that it has a distortion circuit that I don't have. It has some interesting effects. And to be quite honest, I don't need another fuzz. I just have so many different fuzzes that I like, and I like when I'm making shoegaze. That having just an extra fuzz that is maybe less well thought out than some of the other pedals that are strictly fuzzes is just not as fun for me. So this one has definitely found a place on its board. Now, that's not to say that we don't have other echoes of things on our board either. So with the Keeley Loomer, again, I said it, so probably the most consistent, but definitely not the favorite on my main amp, the Port City Pearl. And so this one actually is sold and heading over to New Zealand, a nice pedal trade. That being said, probably the thing that is most disappointing about this to me is the fuzz side. I really, really like the options of the reverb side. And so Keeley recently came out with the Keeley Parallax, which takes the reverb side from the Loomer. You can see it's the exact same controls, depth, decay, warmth, blend, and you've got your Hall, your reverse, and your soft focus. The order's reversed on the switch, but other than that, that's it. And then you also have the delay circuit from the Keeley Caverns. So what I ended up doing is actually replacing both my Loomer and my Caverns because I didn't care so much for the fuzz on the Loomer, and the Caverns reverb side was fine, but I really like the options on this, and I've got a couple other reverbs. So I ended up replacing those two pedals with this one. And this is definitely on my main board, and it's really my main reverb. So Keeley Loomer, great pedal, great reverb, good fuzz. So Blackhole Symmetry collision devices. This one is not on my main board. However, this is my go-to travel pedal. If I am going somewhere and I want to bring my guitar with me, or if I want to play something in the office, this is what I do. It's got everything I need: fuzz, reverb, delay, all really, really good quality, all sound great. Really great small team of builders out in France who put these together. So awesome, awesome pedal. So overall, I'm interested in what your opinion is. What do you think sounded best through which of these amps? And what other pedals would you like to see go through the good, better, best test in the future? So with that being said, we are going to be talking about our next pedal, good, better, best, which is awesome pedal, which is actually a combination of 2 pedals. So really, you are getting 3 reviews for 1. The pedal is going to be the Mask Audio Electronics MAE Maybe. Got the one really cool artwork. This one was done by the builder, Jeremy at Pinebox. Really awesome pedal, so stay tuned next week for the good, better, best review of the MAE Maybe. So until next time, be sure to subscribe so you know when our videos are coming out, and feel free to share and like. Helps us out a ton, and again, comment, let us know what pedals you would like to see go through this test. Thank you very much.